Welcome. This is Belisa Chess. If you haven't found my channel before, I am currently doing a Elo run to 2000 journey. I was inspired by a lot of other channels that are doing the same, and I thought I can do it. So I actually got a lot of Q&A from people or questions from people asking, what is my Elo journey? Where did I start? This is from Fen the Moogle, Ace Senders, and Paul Roderick Sancti asking me to share how I got to where I am. Because if you see my current progression, I started this new account to play this road to 2000, making my way to 2000 journey. And I clicked, like, in the beginning asked you what level you are, and I clicked intermediate because in my mind I'm not advanced. Like, I know what an advanced player is like, and I felt like I am a noob at chess. Like, I'm not a great player. So I picked intermediate, and it started me off like around 1200 or something, which I was like, oh, okay, that's a little low. So I played a bunch of games. I got to 1500, 1600 pretty quickly. I got to 1700, and then I tilted. I got back down to 1600 all the way. And now I'm slowly making my way back up. As you shall see, I'm on day 40. So let's get started. Let's just get into it. Let me show you. I want to show you. Hold on. What's going on here? Okay, this is anticlimactic. Please load. Okay, good. I want to show you my Elo journey because this is my old account. And I actually had another account before this one. So I started around May or June of 2021. It was in the middle of COVID. That's how I started playing chess. And I'm going to tell you that this is going to be a longer video. I already sense it's going to be a long video because there's certain points I want to cover. I want to talk about first this whole Elo journey I have. And then I want to talk about my understanding of chess at each stage and how that has evolved over time. Both my relationship to the game and my understanding of the game have changed over time. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the various openings I played. I want to talk about things I focused on chess-wise, like what did I study, what did I not study, what was my focus on each time to get at each stage to get to the next level, what's my mindset now, and yeah, other things probably as well. Let's get started. Okay. So, as you shall see here, I actually started, so my old account was like half a year before this one. So we can just try to extend this tail over. And I started as a total noob around 500 or even less. Like I'd say like 400. Whatever is the lowest chess.com starts you off as, I started off as 400, 500. Previously, I took like a few lessons, like control the center, develop your pieces. So I kind of knew like how the basic strategy for the game, like very, very basic beginner stuff. Like I had that in mind. And with that in mind, I got to freaking, where is this? 947, it says, by November of 2021. So that's about half a year later, I got to 900. And let me tell you, that was difficult. I remember, because I was on COVID, so I was like having tons of time on my hands. I was also pretty distraught, I'd say. Maybe not outside, but inside, I was going through a lot of emotional pain because, okay, big reveal, big secret. I was going through this breakup. So it was funny because I was talking to somebody like from my chess club, and they were asking me how I got into chess, and I gave them this like huge long monologue about how like, oh, like chess is like, you know, blah blah. I was like into logic as a kid, but then I didn't like get a chance to do chess. I didn't think I was talented, blah blah blah. I like went on and on. The TLDR of that was that chess has helped me through breakups, crushes, and just like getting over people, basically people I was obsessed with, but like gave me pain, so that I like wanted to like just get over it. So basically, yeah, my relationship to chess in the very beginning. Should I start talking about that right now, or should I talk about later? You know what? Whatever. I'm in story mode. So my relationship to chess was basically that it was my emotional support. Okay, I'll talk about it later. Let's just get into the chess Elo stuff. Okay, so I started around 400, 500. 6 months later, I'm at 900. It was hard. Like, basically 1 month in, I think like, yeah, a month, and I think I got to like 700 or something, and it was just like, It was so hard trying to get to 700, 800. I remember like going to 800. I was like, oh my God. And I was really addicted to it. Like I was playing in the back, like I was hanging out with friends and I was like trying to play chess in the back of a car. And obviously you can't concentrate like that. But it was like, I was like, oh my God, it's so hard. And I just thought it would be impossible to get to 1000. I was like, wow, like 1000 seems unsurmountable. Just like a huge thing. Voila, I hit 1000. When do I hit 1000? I'd say, wow, in freaking November? It took me that long? Okay, well, I guess, okay, it takes me half a year to get to 1000. And then from 1000, you see it's bumpy. Like, I tilt back to 900, and there's a lot of tilting going on. There's like Elo gain and Elo tilt, and I have a massive tilt. Like, I get all the way up to 1100 by December. Oh, and I was like somewhere exotic there. I was in France, and I was still playing chess. I treated myself to this vacay and I was still playing chess. Okay, so so I got to 1100, I tilted again all the way 900 and I was like, oh my God, am I ever gonna get to 1200? It seemed unsurmountable. Voila, we hit 1200 February of the next year. So by now I'm thinking, okay, it'd be nice to hit 1300 like for my first anniversary of chess playing. That was kind of the goal that I had in mind. And do I reach it? I think I do, but look at these tilts. Like, look at these slumps. It's basically like gain 200 points, drop 200 points. Gain like 50 points, gain 100 points, and drop 200 points. Make our way back up, gain, like lose all those points. And I can tell you it's because during this entire time, I just like did not study. I barely even reviewed my games, I think. I was just literally playing a shit ton of games, like a total addict. Some days I would just be playing games like, yeah, I'm kind of ashamed to admit, like the whole day. And sometimes I would not even move from my chair. Like I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't drink. I was like a literal addict stuck to the computer because again, I was in an emotional state and it was my way of coping. So like Daniel Radcliffe, either this or heroin. He didn't say that, but I'll maybe make another video on like this emotional part of chess. But anyway, let's get back. So okay, so I guess I don't hit 1300 by March because I'm still tilting. And look here, I tilt all the way down to 1000. So that's pretty disheartening. Like imagine you got all the way up to close to 1200. Or, oh yeah, you got to 1200 and you're now back to 1000 after so many ups and downs. You're just wondering, am I ever going to make it past? But I do. And voila, by April, I finally hit 1300. So a year and a month later, I hit 1300. Pretty good. And by here, actually 1300, I can tell you that I think I was really, really proud of myself. I was even proud of myself for getting to 1200 because it was impossible. Like to me, 1300 was impossible from where I started. As a 400, 500 beginner player, you cannot imagine, like 1300 seems really advanced, seems like way out. Like I was really proud of myself. I did not think I could get here. But once I got to 1300, I started to get a super confidence in myself because I knew I could do it because of all this freaking up and down, but a slow and steady progress eventually. I knew that if I thought that 1000 was impossible and I hit 1000, if I thought 1300 was impossible and I hit 1300, then can I hit 1500? Yes, I can. Can I hit 2000? Yes, I can. In my mind already as a 1300, I was like, one day I'm gonna get to 2000, and I think it's possible. Like maybe it'll require a lot of work. I was like I didn't want to think that far because it still seemed like 1500 was impossible. But I was like, I felt like I could do it. I had the confidence. So you see, I tilt back up and down, woo, 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 woo. I got to 1100 in July. That couldn't have been fun for me. And I was like, am I ever going to get to 1400? I finally hit it in September of, so a year and a half after playing chess, basically, I hit 1400. And then I tilt again, up. And here, I don't really play chess. You see this period I don't play chess is because I was actually trying to study. Like here, I started actually reading a book on chess for the first time. Like a year and a half in, I started reading Jeremy Silman's Reassessor Chess, which is actually considered quite difficult for beginner, like relatively weaker players. Like, and I had what is it, like amateur's mindset? What was the other one he had? and various other books as well. But by here, I start feeling like I should study some strategy. And then I had the idea, like I had a goal in mind to hit 1500 by the end of the year. By the end of 2023, I wanted to hit 1500. And I got super damn close. Like, if I show you here, it doesn't actually show you, but this little peak here, it doesn't show you the exact peak rating, but I remember it was like the eve of 2023. Like, it was like literally December 30th or 31st, I hit 1495. Like, I actually hit 1495. And I so wanted to hit 1500 that I kept playing one more game, uno más, and then I lost. And I was like, uno más, and then I lost. And I was like, tres más, and then I lost, and then I lost, and I lost. And I tilted back down. So you see this tilt? I tilted all the way back down. And I was like, holy fuck, I was so close to 1500. Why did I tilt? But it happened. I'm so glad you guys are giving me the opportunity to even talk about this, because Lord knows that nobody else would ever care. Anyway, I still wanted to hit 1500, but it just wasn't happening. So I kind of knew in the future not to force myself like that, because if you really push yourself, then chances are you might just not get there. And it's like, it's okay. Like 1 day or 2 days later, I should have just like slept and like next day, but I still wanted to hit that goal. So I don't, but I eventually hit it when? Let's say, when do I hit 1500? Around March of 2023. So I was like, I'm a little late, but I hit it. And guess what? Oh yeah, I remember where. I was in Miami at the time. I remember. Yeah. I was actually in Miami on my laptop playing chess, and I hit 1500 that night. I was like, good job. And when I went home, I played chess in a more, so around here, I already stopped being so addicted. Like, you can see, like, basically when I started studying, I'm not that obsessively like playing 24/7, that kind of thing. It's also out of COVID, so I'm like, I don't have an excuse to be like a total hermit and a recluse playing chess. Like, I can't get away with it forever. So, but here I'm slightly more normal of a normal person, playing chess more normally. But 1500, let me think. Yeah. You know, it was so hard. It took like several months to get from 1400 to 1500. It was so damn hard. But 1500 to 1600 took like 2 weeks. Like, literally, it was phenomenally short amount of time. I just like leapt through the 1500s. If I show you the graph, it's like, I think I only play like maybe 20 games in the 1500s. I don't know why. The whole time I was thinking, why are these 1500s so weak? Like, why are they so easy to beat? Why were the 1400s so hard? And I think it's not because they're actually like relatively weaker. Like, of course the 1500s can't be weaker than the 1400s, but it's me that got stronger. And it's a subconscious sinking in slowly of chess knowledge that I gained over this amount of time that I was studying, that I was working on other stuff, that has slowly seeped into my mind and allowed me to be better. So that's why 1500s was easy to get through. It just because that my muscles were stronger and I was able to whack through the bush faster. That's it. So don't be discouraged if like early on it's really tough, because that may just help you later on to be better. So I remember just getting 1600 was super easy, and then getting to 1700 was harder. It was harder. So you see where it took me. So basically 2 years down, I was pretty happy. I was like, wow, 2 years of chess and I get to pretty much like, yeah, 1600. I was like, I'm pretty satisfied. 2 years of chess. I never thought I could. But yeah, if you see, yeah, the first year I got to 1300. The second year I only just increased by 300 extra. So I was like, that's not a lot, but it's also like way beyond what I thought I could achieve, that I ever could have imagined when I started. So let's see, 1700 was June of 2023. So about 2 years I hit 1700. So yeah, I made 300 to 400 points in the second year. Pretty damn good. This long period of time I was abroad. Actually, I was in China. So I didn't play chess, which is great, because you shouldn't be playing chess all the time when you have more priorities to attend to. And then I come back, I start playing, and I think I want to get to 1800. I tilt, and voila, look at this gain. I think getting to 1800 was also really, really easy for me. This whole part was not easy because I was tilting, But basically, I had this goal that by the end of last year, by the end of 2023, I was like, one of my goals that I wrote on my whiteboard was reach 1800. So I made an effort to consistently uh, move towards that goal. And I knew that I didn't want to tilt like I did when trying to get to 1500. I didn't want to like force myself to like play a bunch. I was like, I'm just going to take it easy. For like starting around like mid-December, I was like, let me just play like a few games every night. So I started playing like 2 games, 3 games every night. And I was actually winning all of them. I think I was really relaxed as I was chilling with a cat. I like had this like really adorable cat like curled up next to me, and I was like, it made me feel so good. I was so calm. I was just playing chess. I was like super focused, like no distractions, super focused, just the cat in the room. And I was killing it. Like every night, like slowly, it was like way ahead of progress. Like I was thinking it might be, that was like the hardest goal because I had like 5 things I wanted to finish by the end of the year. I thought like that was the hardest thing that I might not be able to finish. And I actually accomplished it in like less than 2 weeks or something, like, or just 1 week. It was actually really easy doing it step by step. So I think that was also part of the inspiration for doing this series. Is like I was like, if you just do a little bit a day, it's probably better than trying to shove it down your throat all in one go. So this huge jump right here was that week, and I reached it. Christmas, baby! I reached it on Christmas. Merry Christmas. I don't even remember that. Is that how I celebrated Christmas? So sad. Chess girl celebrates Christmas playing chess alone with a cat. Maybe that's how I celebrated Christmas. I don't remember. Oh no, I didn't even have the cat with me then. And then I had another goal. So then you see I hit my highest peak rating. I thought by here I feel really confident. I'm like, hold on, let me just recording, let me just check. Okay, it's still going. Okay. By here I feel really confident. I feel like, because playing at this level, I really felt like my true ability, I was like, I could probably get to 1950. I was like, if I wanted to, if I just keep doing that consistent effort, I could get to 1950. I was pretty confident. But voila, what do we know? I tilt inexplicably. I think I just pushed myself too hard. I still wanted to hit 1900. That I pushed myself, I started playing, I started tilting, and I was like trying to make it back. And the more I pushed, the more I tilted. So you see this huge slump, and now I'm at low 1700s, which is where I am with this channel as well. So for some inexplicable reason, I was playing like fire. I was super sharp. I felt like I was in 1900s. I felt like I could get there. And then something changed my brain. I'm out of form, and now I'm playing in the 1700s level, which I think is like how I'm playing right now. So I can't explain it, but this is what happened. So my peak rating, to answer your question, is 1877 that I hit January 20th of 2024. And my goal was to originally hit 1900 by March. So let's see if sometime during this month I get close to 1900. I'd be happy, honestly, if we got to like mid 1800 or even 1800. Seeing how I've been playing, I'd be happy if we even hit 1800 on this channel. But I think I have the ability. And that's why, let's come back to me. Let's come back. So I think that's why I had the confidence when doing this series that I could hit 2000, because it was the slow transition that you see. It was nothing like dramatic about it. Like, yeah, let me actually just transition to this again and just point out this is a slow climb, right? It's a slow climb. It's not a freaking exponential graph. This is just a freaking slow. It literally looks like climbing a mountain, right? Which I'm going to talk about soon. So now I'm going to show you some slides, some images to kind of break this down and basically look at this from different angles. So what do I want to tackle first? I mean, yeah, let's talk about okay, so let's talk about just my attitude towards chess and how I was approaching the game. And because people were asking me like how I studied, how I trained, so I'm going to talk about basically what I was doing at each stage. How did I get better? The how of it. So first, I can just tell you that from like basically up to 1300, 1200s, I was just playing blindly. I barely reviewed my games. I didn't study. I didn't read any books. I did some chess.com lessons, but I didn't have a diamond account either. So it was just like one free lesson a week or something. I did some puzzles, and basically whenever I had a trial period, I like would do a bunch of puzzles, but like not consistently either. So I was basically just addicted, and I played a tons of games because I was addicted. And that actually had its own merits. And I was actually very like, how do I say it? Kind of proud of my method of doing that too, because I didn't want to be studying theory. I didn't want to be the person studying a bunch of lines. I wanted to get to know chess on a more intuitive level, uh, like based on experience and based on my own understanding, my own personal step by step, gradual deepening understanding of the game based on mistakes. I thought that would help hone my intuition. That would help, you know, me to spot future things. So it was funny because there were actually certain tactics or things that I learned by myself, like basically like in the beginner range, like lesson 1000, learning how to attack on f7 with a knight and a bishop, and various other things that you just learn by yourself. And that was actually really fun, even though it was really just kind of addictive. And I don't know. I feel like if you actually study chess in a better way, or if you study at all, then you could probably get through this range a lot faster than I did, or more efficiently. Because look at all of this up and down, up and down, up and down. That's basically kind of just a reflection of my own mood, I guess. Around here, like basically starting around, what I write, 1300 to 1500, I start learning strategy. So the books I had, I borrowed from the library, was this huge tome. It's like literally like a dictionary called Reassess Your Chess by Jeremy Silman. And that, it's kind of like, it's actually really hard to read. Like he tries to be entertaining and everything. And God bless him, he's actually not with us anymore. So I really appreciate him. But just to be honest, it is very difficult to get through. Like I had to force myself at a certain point. I was like, I must finish this by the end of the year, because it's just so thick. And like nowadays, like everyone has videos to watch, like resources on their tips of their hand. You don't want to sit down and read a freaking book and then like play it out on a chessboard. But that's what I did. I had a chessboard next to me. I had the book, and oh, I'm gonna show you this. Hold up right here. All right. This baby, I have these books literally of chess games that I copied from like Chess Life magazine and from that book and other chess books of like my favorite games that I read. So this is the Tarrasch Defense. This is the first game. I got this in the magazine that I really liked, and I just copied it down. I would memorize it. I play it like over and over, and I memorize the stuff. So that's kind of how I learned openings, was like memorizing these games. And I have to say that my memory is not Magnus or anywhere close. I don't think I can memorize any of these games anymore because I haven't played them. Nor can I recognize a position. But I do remember some really cool like games that I love. There's some games that I love. They're really hot. And I would just get really, really like excited. I think that's when you know you're passionate about chess, or you love the game, because it's like, I honestly, like, whether or not studying was fun or hard or like easy, but it was just like when you see a game that you really love, like these things, like if you see a Karpov game, he's just like crushing his opponent, like squeezing them to death. You're like excited. You're like, boom, boom. You're like, yes, it's so hot. I don't know. At least I was like, oh my God, this is so hot. And then when I was like reading Ding's, like Ding Liren's, freaking brilliancy, his Immortal. Oh my God, I was like, oh my God, this is the best game I've ever seen ever. Maybe I'll share that with you one day. I was like, oh my, okay, I'll stop now. You get the point. Basically, I was so impressed. I knew I was addicted to chess, but on an emotional level, because it was helping me cope. But when you start actually learning, you love it in a different way, because you can appreciate the strategy and the games that are being played. So there's that. There's also books by Yasser, the goat, the goat of teaching. Yasser Serwan. He also has great books on chess strategy. I have the online digital version of that book. But I think you can borrow that from the library as well. He has a whole series. I think they're all great. I only have one of the books, but I should probably go over the whole series. I need to like hunker down and read books again. But basically around 1600 or 1500 is when I start going on Chessable. So that's actually like I switched my focus from books to like digital, because that's like I guess what everyone's doing. It's just more easy. It's just easier and more consumable. Um, but on Chessable, I had the same like attitude that I didn't want to just be learning theory. Like I didn't want to like learn all these lines. I wanted to still learn chess intuitively, whatever that means. Um, so basically, but I did sample a lot of the short and sweet also because I was like I don't want to like be investing a lot of money in chess right now. Like I don't want to like pay like also like I don't think it was useful for me to learn hundreds and thousands of lines. But I was like maybe it'd be cool to just sample like some of the short and sweets. So basically, they have like short free courses, and that was actually really fun for me. I like start learning some ideas of different openings, actually getting a bit into chess culture and history or like just ideas. Because like before I would like just be playing games, but like when you can actually name openings and actually know like what's going on, like the ideas, it introduces you to a lot of new fresh tactics and potential possibilities. So it changed my excuse me. It changed my like perspective, and that learning theory was for like boring people who like don't have the creativity to learn how to play chess on their own. It changed from that to openings, like theory and understanding openings is actually a great way to open your mind to the potential possibilities of what chess could be. Because when you just play by yourself, you're kind of limited to your own understanding. But when your eyes are open to like, oh, I could put this piece here. Oh, there's this attack. Oh, you thought this was losing, but actually the position's more complex because of this, this, this. And some things are very sharp. And yeah, around here I started going to a chess club as well. Around I'd say when I was about 1600, like basically towards the end of 2023, I started going to like an in-person chess club because I wanted to play over the board for the first time. And basically talking to more experienced players, like really strong players actually, and learning from them, I learned from their perspective that basically how they got better was through learning theory. So at least that's what he told me. Like I'm sure there's more to that because anybody can understand theory. At least that was my perspective. But I mean, but he was basically trying to tell me that I should learn theory, and pick one opening to stick to. Because before, like, I would just be like sampling a bunch on Chessable and just like, oh, this is fun, this is fun. Let me learn a few lines of this, 20 lines of this, 20 lines of this, and try to play everything. And literally, like before here, like this whole range, like before 1600s, I was basically playing everything under the sun. Like, like whatever I felt like, I played. And you can still kind of see that like now, even though I'm like much more like contained. I would just play anything I wanted to because I don't want to feel limited. But then he was like, yeah, it's like the way you got better is by picking one opening and learning it to death, basically. So basically, I didn't really try to study theory, even though I was like having fun in Chessable, learning strategy, learning tactics, etc., whatever, sampling various openings. I didn't seriously start learning openings until I was 1650, around 1650. And that's when I actually hunkered down and learned some openings. I really, really liked learning the Roy Lopez. So that's why you see me playing it now, like a lot, basically like 80% of the time, because I love learning the Roy. I started studying openings and also, yeah, tactics. Tactics, I started, there are certain books that I just like. So that's why you see in my puzzle series, like a lot of the mates I can recognize the name. It's because like in like basic Endgames, or no, sorry, what was the name? Like Checkmate, 101 basic checkmates. What's the name? Stuff like that, or tactical puzzle books. You start seeing patterns, and I think that's also really, really helpful. So it's weird that I didn't start learning tactics earlier. I did, like I knew the basic stuff, like the chess.com lessons, like this is a pin, this is a fork, this is whatever. But it's still different than like drilling it into your brain, seeing the patterns and visually playing it out. Okay, this is Anastasia's mate. Okay, this is the bishop and whatever. This is the Greco's mate. Like when you start seeing this over and over, I think it's really, really powerful. So I think I did that pretty late, but when I did do it, it did help. So I think that explained my easy rise to 1800 was that here I was like actually studying tactics and openings. I think that actually helped me get to 1800 fairly easily. In my opinion. Okay, let's just take a water break because I'm like dying over here. Okay, cut. I'm sorry. I would edit this video, but I'm also like, it just kind of takes too long. Okay, I'm back. I'm back and I'm not dying. Okay. Where is this? Where are my things? Here? Okay, let's keep going. I think I did a fair explanation of that. Yeah, so if you see the openings that I played at each stage, I was playing like a lot of Italian stuff, 1000 and under, or probably like basically 1300s. Basically, I really liked Italian like the whole way. Like before the Roy, I was basically playing the Italian 2-knight stuff, like very basic stuff, like just develop your knights, develop your pieces, stuff like that. Do the bishop knight attack on f7. That was basically how I got to 1000. I think was tricking my opponents into not protecting, forking them on f7, forking the rook and queen, and winning. Basically, that's how I got to 1000. Around 1100, I started playing the English, which was really fun. I completely experimented with. Like I think 1100, 1200, I was very obsessed with the English. Because I felt like even without learning any theory in it, I kind of developed my own setup. Like I did c4, e4, d3, knight f3, knight c3. Did I even say any of that right? Basically, I had this whole setup that I played over and over, and I felt like I kind of knew like what to do in it just by playing it so much. So that was fun. Around 1400s, I think 1400s, I watched this video on like YouTube about like 5 basic traps in the King's Gambit, and I was so excited because it's like aggressive, it's like straight out of the opening, just like attack, zack, mate. And I saw some like great games by like former, maybe Morphe, maybe like basically these like older dudes, and like just like killing their opponents in the King's Gambit. So I was like super excited to try that. So I like was like obsessed with that for like a little bit here. Yeah, and then the Chessable adventure continues with like all the short and sweets I learned on the dragon, the Scandi, like John Bartholomew's Scandi, Queen D8 Scandi, the Scotch and Najdorf, etc. I was like learning like a few lines in each, or like 20 lines about in each, or maybe even 50, and just like playing those, and that was fun. Yeah, I remember I liked playing the dragon a lot because basically this master showed it to me, and then like I lost, and then he's like, you shouldn't play the dragon. He's like, he like totally crushed me. So then I like, that actually motivated me to study it, and I actually studied like 20 lines of it like really hard. And actually I actually won a really, really nice over the board game using one of the lines in that dragon course, and I completely destroyed my opponent. He like walked into like that line, but that game was completely because I prepared. I like knew the line so well. I still had to convert it in the end game, but like basically it was because I learned the opening. So like that was one advantage of this, I guess. Just yeah. But if you don't study it, you're gonna forget. So like now if you ask me to play dragon, I have no confidence because I didn't like freaking memorize all those lines. As I was saying, around here, 1600s, mid 1600s, I started learning the Roy, and I love the Roy so much because it could be super positional, just like kind of grinding your opponent to death. And it's so theory rich. Actually, there's so many cool different variations. It's Zaitsev, the Breyer, I have no idea. Shigorin, the Berlin. There's just so many various different, the open Spanish. There's so many different possibilities. The Marshall, that I fell in love with the Roy. I was like, and I learned a few lines to combat each of those various potential possibilities, and I thought that was fucking hot. Okay, so around the beginning of this year is when I really started to hunker down into learning theory. I wrote on my whiteboard, I'm going to learn 1000 lines of E4, E5, because there was a tournament that I was playing, that I just played in, that I wanted to prepare for. And I was like, this is my motivation. I'm going to study. And I actually learned 700 lines. Like, let me tell you, I learned like 750 lines, and I completely burn out. Like, I get distracted. Basically, when I started this video series, I stopped learning my lines. I'm sorry. I should continue. I should have reviewed my lines. So, like, if you see a lot of the games I play, like, there are certain openings, that, like, I actually know 30 lines in it. Like, the Scotch Gambit, like, I would know 30 lines. However, I don't actually even recognize it's a Scotch Gambit, because the thing with Chessable is that it, like, shows you, it makes you, like, learn all the moves of that line. So you would know, like, all the various variations of the tree that keeps going down. But the very beginning, you only learn once. like the very start of that opening, you only practice once. So like sometimes it's hard to even know what to do in the very beginning. You're like you barely even recognize it because you're like, huh, like what is this? At least that's what I find for myself. Just because I haven't reviewed it, and I know I can change the settings, but maybe I'm going too detailed. But basically, E5 is what I basically play now because I'm like, if I learn all those lines of theory in it, then like I should be playing this opening. Damn it. And you would think I'd be doing better, but like I was saying, also it's very hard. Like there are some parts of E5 that I felt like were very fun and intuitive for me, like the two knights defense, whatever, that's fun. But like Italian was like, oh, like freaking Italian. So disgusting to learn. I'm sorry. I was just like, all the move orders, all the freaking little things. I'm just like, oh my god. Um, I don't know. I think I just got so burnt out. I stopped. So maybe I should go back and review all those lines. But again, if you don't keep reviewing, you're gonna forget. So that's basically my opening thing. And as to black, in the beginning I was playing like a semi Tarash, inspired by that game that I had here. And then I started learning about the QGD about like half a year ago, but obviously didn't learn it very well because who can explain my abysmal score in the QGD? I don't know. I was learning a bit of Kid as well, but not very well. It's very like, I don't have time to learn all of that basically. It's just like, it's kind of too much for me right now. But I should do it honestly, and would help me progress faster. As to my puzzle rating, because Fen also asked me about my puzzles, I got to highest of 2874 on my last account, and that was just slow and steady progress. And I think your puzzle rating actually really corresponds with your rapid chess rating. So basically I thought I was in like 2400 or whatever, and I was like, I thought getting to 2500 was hard, but when I got there I think I was around like 1700 or something. I don't know, close to 1700. But then like, actually maybe less, maybe 1600, I don't know. But basically when I hit like 2700, 2800 on puzzles, then I was like, then 1800 was very, very easy. Like when you can do puzzles at a 2800 level, I think 1800 is easy. If you can do them at 2900 or higher level, I think 1900, 2000 would be very easy. Not easy, but like very accomplishable. Very manageable. Just because it's all about just the calculation. Like every single game has just a few critical moments where you really need to calculate. And the more you train your calculation ability, so it was to like see basically really far, like pretty far down the line. Because I think around here, the puzzle, like 2700, 2800 level puzzles need like pretty much 5 or 6 step calculation at a certain point. And if you can consistently solve at that level, then I think your chess ability will correspondingly improve. Right? But it takes time. Like, I freaking, like, if you see my puzzle runs, I'm like, it's not even that fun sometimes. And yeah, like most of the time I try to do like 3 puzzles a day, because for a lot of time, like most of the time I did not have a premium account. And you see the few times I had the trials, I really took advantage of their trial week. The freaking times I had the freaking free diamond membership trial, I would be doing like 100 puzzles, 200 puzzles. But every other time I would just be doing 3 puzzles a day and still slowly trying to progress up. I think that's possible. Shoot, can you see this graph? Maybe you can't even see it. Let me transition for y'all. Okay. Transitioning for y'all, it's 1613 was my Blitz. This is my Blitz graph. This is my Blitz friggin' journey. I don't know if this is even relevant to what I'm talking about. But basically, Blitz, I didn't really start playing until like later on down the line. I'd say when I was like solidly like maybe 1300. I'm not sure. But basically, I found my Blitz rating would be like about 300 points lower on average, and I got to a high of 1613. My Bullet was like about 100 points even less than my Blitz. So yeah, having a good mouse definitely helps, I found. Like before I was just like clicking on my phone, but like when you have a mouse and can pre-move like 10 moves in advance, it's like that really helps. However, I would not recommend playing Blitz or Bullet if you're less than 1,000, definitely. Maybe less than 1,200, 1,300, I wouldn't touch Blitz or Bullet. But then once I was like 1,300, I started playing Blitz. I found that playing Blitz helps your rapid in the sense that it helps in even classical, in the sense of during time scrambles, you can still force yourself to think and to calm down. Because I find for Blitz especially that a lot of times we want to like make a lot of moves fast. But if you see a lot of really good Blitz players play, they actually take their time. They take their time, especially in critical positions, because they know that that's like the critical moment that you should spend time on. So as long as you make that move right, then the rest flows easy. It's just that conversion. So it's like learning how to manage time pressure. I think playing Blitz and Bullet helped in that sense. But I actually vowed to not play Blitz or Bullet this year because as you can see through my tilts, like my freaking tilting, this is a freaking tilt right here. Like, and it's addictive. It's too addictive. I was like, I feel like I'm gambling. I feel like I'm rotting my brain cells. I was like, I can't do this. So yeah, so back to my rapid rating. Yeah, basically when I tilted the beginning of this year, I started this series because I was like, I don't want to play chess as an addiction. I actually want to make a conscious effort to not treat chess in that way. I want to play like the way that I control myself and playing a little bit to getting to 1800 was something that I really enjoyed because you felt like it was very like in control of yourself. And I actually think that your ability to master yourself and your own emotions corresponds to your ability to tackle problems on a chessboard. And it kind of goes hand in hand. The more you're able to navigate life and your emotions with calm, presence, and discipline, and just persistence, it basically translates. It's like the skill you gain getting better at chess is the same as your skill in life. And we can talk more about the philosophy of chess at another time. But I actually really enjoyed that too. Just the philosophical implications of this game that we love. Philosophy. But yeah, chess has helped me a lot. And it has changed the way I approach things in life. It has changed me. Maybe I'll create a video talking about that later. Sorry, I'm like dying. But yeah, over the board chess has also helped change a lot of how I play classical, because I started playing classical around like a year, basically a little over a year ago, a year and a half, like less than that, a year and a few months ago, and meeting actual chess players and having more of a community, having people you have fun playing chess with and going to tournaments, and it's a whole different beast. And I think if you play over the board, you start to sense that playing online is like completely, it's just so much chiller. I don't know if I actually felt angry before. I think, yeah, I tilted a lot before when I was playing online, because it seemed like such a big deal. But when you play classical, it just doesn't compare. Like the feeling of adrenaline, tension, and excitement and pain when you lose in classical is like incomparable. How do you say that? So I could talk about like my experience playing classical too, but at first it hurt a lot. Like I'd be complaining after every loss. Like I wanted to vent to someone. I wanted to like throw a tantrum. Like I would go home and sulk. Like I'd be like, oh, it hurts me. And I would like climb a mountain the next morning. Be like, oh, I need to release this pain. It hurts me so bad. It actually hurts. It actually physically hurts. Like the first loss, I lost to a freaking 8-year-old girl. I remember. And like because by then I was already like 1400 or something like online. So I thought I would start off like over the board, like maybe 1200, 1300. I felt like, yeah, intermediate. My first over the board rating was only like 1086 or something. It was like your over the board rating is like 300, 400 points even lower than your rapid. So that was like disheartening because I was like, I thought it was better than this. And losing to like young children does not help your ego. It was just like, wow, I didn't know I sucked so bad. Because everyone online is more casual, I guess. But like when people really play tournaments and pay, and like they have parents like chaperoning them and like blah, blah, like a whole support system. I'm actually jealous of those kids. They have like freaking picnics at these tournaments. Like their parents like bring in like freaking like picnics and everything. And I'm like, oh my god, like how am I supposed to compete with this? Like, like they don't need to worry about anything. They just play the game. As an adult, you kind of have to take care of everything yourself. You have to drive there. You have to do everything. Anyway, this is not worth complaining about. But it's basically like, you know, you see these people taking it so seriously. But But yeah, but you learn to drop the ego. So I'm trying to say that at first I had a lot of pain. I felt a lot of pain, but then I actually forced myself to play one tournament. I was completely tilting. Like the first game I won, the second game I was gonna win, but I lost. So I completely tilted, and I actually lost every single game after that. So even though I could have withdrawn, I just forced myself to just lose the whole thing. And what that taught me was that losing is okay. What that taught me was that losing is okay. It happens, and I'm okay with it. And I was actually reading Eckhart Tolle. He has a book called A New Earth. I'm not gonna go and show you, but it's here with me. I was talking about dropping the ego and talking about Zen and being peace with whatever happens. And I think it's either that or another tournament. I also lost another tournament completely. I was so Zenned out that I did not care. And I was like, maybe being so Zen is not good to playing chess, because I actually didn't feel like I needed to beat my opponent. Like I was happy for them if they won. I actually don't like seeing the pain in my opponent's eyes. Like literally only playing against like people my age, or like basically men my age feels good, because like if you play against older people or like young kids, I'm just like, I don't, because you can see how upset. I think one time a boy was crying in front of me, or like literally got tears in his eyes, and it like did not feel good seeing him like be so upset. Like I was just like, but then there are other kids who are like really obnoxious and kick you and stuff, so I'm like, whatever. But basically the point is like, yeah, I was so Zenned out that I didn't really feel like beating my opponent anymore, and I was like, I can't be this done. So it's like you have to find a balance. And now my mentality is just like, okay, it's just about the chess. It's just about, you see how grandmasters approach a game, like they're still very cordial and civil to their opponents, well, most of them. After the game, and they can discuss moves and everything. And I think that's because they have a deep understanding that at the base of it, it's just about understanding ideas. Like if your opponent has a more interesting idea than yours, then you want to talk about it. You want to learn about it. You want to discuss it. You want to share your experience, your own personal perspectives, how you approach the game, various lines that you had considered. So it becomes more like a puzzle, like an interesting problem that both people mutually solve. And it's like a dance. Instead of like, I'm going to beat my opponent, I'm going to be better than them, I'm smarter than them, yeah. And it's like a fight. Instead of like a duel or a fight, which it is, it's also more like a dance. It's like you say something, I say something. I say something back to you, you tell me, and I respond. So it's like it requires this duality, this interaction between you and the other person, and you can respect that. Because if a person can dance as well as you and dance on your level and dance with you, and that you see an idea, they answer your idea, or they're able to foresee your idea, it's like you're having a conversation. And that's really exciting, because then it's like a mental, without even speaking any words, it's like speaking a language and making dance moves over the chessboard. That's pretty hot. So when that happens, it's actually very exciting, and you can respect who you're playing with in that moment, and it's not no longer about your own ego and like, I need a win. It's more like we're having a conversation. So I think that's an interesting approach, and that's how I can approach my games now, which I really like, and I think that has to do with my spiritual journey as well, which I think is also important in dealing with life. That aside, okay, let's talk about, let's wrap this up. Let's slowly wrap this up, because it's reaching an hour. I know it's gonna be long, but if you actually listen this much, even on double speed, I'm like, wow, I appreciate you. Good for you. If any of this was helpful to you. Okay, before I talk about my own tips or advice for how to get better, just like basic advice, I want to say that my understanding of chess, oh yeah, I was gonna talk about this. That's actually kind of interesting to me. So maybe if you allow me to have a water break, and I'm gonna have a water break. And I'm back. Oh. Okay. Thank you. I want to actually talk about how my understanding of chess has evolved. I was talking about it, but there's actually more to this. So, as I was saying, when I started, it was just a way to mentally cope. It was a form of addiction. It was my emotional support, and to a certain extent, it still is. In the sense that a lot of times in life, you feel like you don't have someone or regular stable people you can always go to. Like, and if you do, that's great. That's very lucky for you. And I actually do have great friends and people I could call and stuff. But sometimes, like sometimes you don't want to talk to people, right? Or you start feeling a little negative. You're like, oh, like, yeah, I can't rely on people, but I can rely on chess. Just like how musicians would be like, people aren't there for me, but my music is always there, or my art, or whatever it is. So same idea. Um, but anyway, in the beginning, I thought that I had zero talent, and I still don't think I'm very talented in chess. But I started chess with this admiration for it, and almost awe for it, that it was something like just like beyond comprehension. It seemed like something very beautiful and way beyond my ability to even grasp. I thought that you had to be really talented in it, like a Tiger Woods or like somebody like, like just a natural like athlete or like whatever, a prodigy to even like be able to play the game. And I knew that that wasn't me. So I was a little intimidated, even though I like, you know, really wanted to play. And I saw these guys playing like in college. And I always thought like, wow, they're just really smart. Like they're more logical. They like learn computer science and stuff. I was more like a humanities person or like a social studies, social sciences person. I was good with, I know what I'm talented in. Like I could brag. I'm talented in like languages. I'm talented in art. I'm talented in basically the non-computational stuff that like chess is supposed to be. So I always thought that like chess is not my thing. Like I thought I could never compete with these boys like who are so logical and like left brain and whatever. I just thought it was impossible. Oh yeah. So basically the Queen's Gambit comes on. And I actually like I didn't actually watch that series. Like I watched like parts of the first episode and stuff, or like just brief glimpses of it. My roommate was watching. Well, that like primed me to like be interested in it again. It was during COVID, so I was like, let me start playing chess again. So then it became like, even though I knew I sucked at it, I had no talent, I was like, I saw myself getting better just by playing hundreds and hundreds of games. So I slowly like felt like I could get better just by practicing, just by doing it. And I felt like I could get better. Around 1200, I had this conversation on set with somebody, like this acquaintance, and we got into argument about talent versus hard work. And I staunchly advocate for the presence, the presence of talent. Like I believe that there is such a thing called talent. There are a lot of people who actually want to argue with me that there's no such thing called talent. There's only hard work. And I'm like, is it because you're not talented? Like, like, I don't know. And actually two of those people who argue with me brought up Laszlo Polgar, the Polgar experiment with the 3 Polgar daughters who all became like really great, strong chess players. My argument in response to that is that, well, why did they pick chess? Why did they not pick swimming or like music or art or something? And the truth is because chess is actually something you can learn to a certain degree. I don't think if they had picked art, they would all become great artists. Like, I'm sorry, but in something like art or something, like this is my belief. You can fight me in the comments if you want. You can argue with me. But I believe like something like art, like you can be technically proficient. Like you can be very technically accomplished, like for example, pianist. But if you don't have talent, you can never, like you just don't have it. Like you don't have the artistic sense. Like I don't know how to say it, but it's just like that's just what I believe. Anyway, that's what I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. But maybe I'm wrong. I believe you're talented in certain things. And maybe that family was just naturally more talented in something, because was he a scientist? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe that was just something they were more talented in. And also, why Judith? Why not the other sisters? Anyway, whatever. Basically, I think that human beings all are different. And some are more like fish. Some are more like gazelles. Some are more like, I don't know, like ducks. Like, and you can't, one person may be good at something, but not another. Am I going on a huge tangent? Basically, I had this argument with him. I was like, I believe in talent. He's like, no, it's just hard work. And I was showing him these articles of like chess prodigies at 8 years old. I'm like, is this not talent? Like, can you not believe that this is talent? But basically, even though arguing with him, because sometimes I do this, like I debate with people, but then their stance, their POV subconsciously or consciously influenced me to try to think in a different way. So basically having that conversation with him, I started to learn, because I wanted to challenge him on chess, and he was like, well, I don't want to do it because I feel like, he's like, I don't want to play because I feel like I would be taking a test that I haven't studied for. And that kind of inspired me to start studying, because I was like, I am playing so much chess, but I'm not really studying it. So am I basically like taking a test and like winging it? Like, am I taking it over and over, like getting better every time, but like basically not studying for it? Like, would it be actually easier for me to study? So that changed my perspective. And then I started studying, and I studied, and that inspired me to start studying. So thanks to him for arguing with me. I started studying. And another conversation with a chess master, he's a national master, also inspired me. Thank you to him. Because because before I thought like, yeah, learning lines was like boring, and for people who like, I would kind of like almost look down on, because like I'd be going to these tournaments, and these like young children would be like, who are not rated very high, would be like, oh, you play the anti-Bononi here, and like you did this, and I'd be like, how do you know all this stuff? And now I know it's like just like that's just how they prepare for the tournament. Like that's how they learn chess. Like even as a beginner, they will start learning lines straight away. I always thought that that was not the way I wanted to learn chess, because I was like, just learning, just like starting by like learning theory, I would be just learning lines and moves, but I wouldn't be understanding the ideas. I wouldn't be understanding strategy. I wouldn't be actually furthering my chess knowledge. That was my like belief. But now I see that the things are not mutually exclusive. Like learning opening actually deepens your chess understanding, and the experience of playing them also helps you, you know, I mean, experience obviously also helps, but I also believe that, yeah, maybe not just focus on the lines, but also be okay with experimenting, because I see a lot of people who are like afraid to play things. And that's actually something that I see in myself now, is like sometimes now I'm cautious or too timid of playing things that I haven't studied or learned, because I kind of lost like that edge in me, like in the beginning when I was learning and just like experimenting and playing anything I wanted to. Like now it's more like cautious about like, okay, what has been tried and true? Like what have I studied? Like, and unfortunately in this game, it's like the higher level you get, the less room for error you have to experiment. Like at this tournament recently, like I had learned all these hundreds of lines of E5, but when time came to it, like when it came down to the wire, like I still played a random move. I still played the wrong move basically, even though I had learned the theory in it. I just felt like experimenting, and it didn't pay off. I lost that game. So it's like the room for kind of experimenting too much on the opening kind of just shrinks as you get higher, unfortunately, because nowadays like kids from very young, or like just people just basically like just learn these lines, and it's like chess is becoming more and more like a line learning thing. So talking to the master was a little disheartening for me at a certain stage, because he was like, basically for him too, like for him to get further in chess, he would start having to push himself to learn too much theory, and he like didn't want to do that. He's like, it's not worth it for me. And I was becoming a little disheartened. I was like, is this what this game is about? Like just learning lines? And I was like, wow, like this feels so boring. Like I don't know, like because I like things that have a bit of creativity in it. Like I don't want to feel like I'm just like doing something a computer could do. But in my deep down in my heart, I guess I also didn't fully believe what he was saying. Like, because I knew that chess is not actually all about learning lines. I knew that a lot of it was like, sure, a lot of it could be preparation, but a lot of it is psychology. A lot of it is about self understanding and self mastery. Your ability to be patient and win in one game, to not blunder, to not get too arrogant. The ability to just to come back after a loss. The ability to convert for me. And what am I even saying now? But basically, like, there's so many other factors of chess that I thought was not just opening, like learning lines. And also further down the middle game, there's also very rich, like, things that you could try. There's also a lot of uncovered ground. So even though chess may be solved, it doesn't replicate the human versus human experience of playing. Like, there's always going to be things in it that you don't know. And especially for us who aren't grandmasters, it's like, it most certainly isn't about lines. So while he kind of also encouraged me to learn more lines, and I started to learn more lines, I also didn't want my chess to all be about that. And I knew in my heart that it wasn't all about that. I was gonna say something about what I was just talking about, but I forgot. Um, Something about self-control. Yeah. Okay, so when I started playing over the board, there would be a lot of times, like more games than I can count, maybe at least 4 games, where I was up a whole piece. I was up a whole piece and I thought I was totally winning, and then I lost. Or endgames I didn't convert, blunders, stupid blunders I made. I didn't see my opponent's counterplay. Even though I know all these concepts like prophylaxis, like look out for opponent's counterplay, I like knew this, but actually forcing myself to apply it was really difficult. And I knew that I started to reflect and know that arrogance is actually the biggest reason for losses in games, especially when playing lower rated players. Because I found myself playing actually almost great chess, like actually being able to fight with masters or former masters, like people way higher than my chess ability. I felt like I could give them a good game. But for some inexplicable reason, or I'm going to explain it, when I was going against these lower rated players, I would actually just lose or maybe draw or like just not play good chess at all. And I knew that that came from a place of arrogance, cockiness. I thought I was better than them. I thought I was like, oh, I'm so much higher rated. I'm older. I'm like, whatever. I feel like I'm better. And then so you start playing loosely. You start playing bad chess. There's a quote that's like, it's not enough to be a strong player. You have to actually, the good chess player, you actually have to make good moves. You have to play good chess. So there's a certain humility and steadfastness, a certain self-control that it requires for you to be able to center yourself at the board and be like, no matter who my opponent is, I'm going to challenge myself just to play the best game, just to strive to make the best moves, or maybe more effectively, more efficiently, more beautifully, more artistically, whatever your goal is, or to have more fun with the game. You have to like let it be about the game and not about the opponent. Because I find that arrogance is the number one reason for my downfall. The same reason why I don't convert completely won games is because you think you're so winning that you're not. You're not. You start ignoring your opponent's counterplay. I was playing this 1800, or basically like, yeah, a much stronger player than me over the board, like much more experienced player. He was playing the King's Gambit against me. Yeah, again, tactically, he lost a piece. But because I like ignored his counterplay, the threats that he was making, I lost that game. Anyway, you get the point. So one thing I learned is arrogance is the death of me. And I actually was very arrogant. The second thing I learned is that things, and this is an epiphany. This is an epiphany that I had pretty recently. The second thing I learned recently is that chess is not actually that clear. And one huge reason I think before, like half a year ago, or no, a year ago, I'd be playing these games and being so upset that I lost is because I felt that I was so winning that it was like unthinkable that I would lose. Like I was just like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. How did I blunder this? Like I was so winning and like now I lost. And it's just that emotional fall from winning to losing that you can't overcome. But now when I look back on it, I understand that that's actually why I lost. Is because I thought I was so winning when in reality the position is always more unclear than you think. So we always, like, if we're up a piece or we have a certain advantage, we tend to think like, yeah, I'm winning. Like, but that makes you overlook your opponent's counterplay. And in reality, your opponent almost always has counterplay, unless I don't know. They could always get some counterplay, and you have to be super aware and alert to the very end. That requires an insane amount of friggin' alertness, self-control, patience, and calm to friggin' just stay alert and pay attention. So instead of thinking I'm so winning, the reality is the position is unclear. And that's something that I didn't understand until very recently. And I think that's going to help my games. Yeah, I wouldn't have drawn a won game if I had really ingrained that in my brain. What other chess epiphanies that I have? Yeah, maybe I'll talk about this another time because this has gone on very, very long. But Emanuel Lasker's Manual of Chess has really been amazing. It's an amazing piece of like chess philosophy on talking about, understanding of chess, appreciation of chess. But anyway, that's that. I'm gonna wrap that up Now for the very last segment of this, I'm going to give some advice. Oh my god, it's been so long. Okay. My advice. Maybe I should split this in a different video, but this is also from my POV. I'm just going to say that. It may not apply to you, but this is just my understanding. And my understanding is this. I likened chess before. I like to liken chess to climbing a mountain. If we look at this graph, it literally looks like the jagged edges of a mountain. And the reason why I say that is because you don't climb a mountain in one day. You cannot reach the peak of a mountain in one day. You physically just can't. And I think before when I was tilting, I just tried to ignore my own reality. I thought if I push myself a bit harder, because back when I was in school, like I would be forcing myself. I would pull all-nighters. I would do things just to force myself to finish something because I wanted to finish it. In life, I feel like there's certain things you cannot push. You cannot fight reality. If you can only bench press, like actually I know nothing about bench pressing, but let's say you can only do 50 right now, and you force yourself to do 100, you're gonna get hurt. You might die. Same with climbing a mountain. If you physically cannot scale a 2,000 meter mountain right now, don't do it. Start where you are. Start where you are. Don't try to climb Mount Everest in one day. And this is just my personal approach. Maybe you're different. But I don't think it's helpful to start by thinking I'm going to reach Mount Everest. At least for me. Because as I was saying in this video, I started off playing chess thinking that I could never reach 1,000. I started not having the simple belief that I could even reach 1,000. And look where I am now. Whew. Anyway, but 1,000 seemed impossible. I just didn't think I was good enough. I thought they had talent. Like chess players have a certain talent that I don't have. They have an ability that I don't have. I just didn't think I had it. Only by reaching 1,000 did I start feeling like, okay, maybe 1,300 isn't that impossible after all. And then I got to 1,300 and I was like, I can do 1,500. When I got to 1,500, I was like, okay, uno más, baby, uno más. 1,600, 1,700, 1,800, here we are. We're getting to 2,000, baby. It's coming. We're coming to 2,000. But yeah, so when people, and I see a lot of people on these 2,000 Elo journeys or whatever. But yeah, again, every person's different, but I feel like you have to start where you are. So here I'm at around 1,700, 1,800, whatever. I think I can get to 2,000. If you are at 500, maybe set 800 as your goal. If you're at 800, 1,000, 1,000, 1,200, 1,200, 1,300. And from there on, add 100 every bit. And as you slowly start getting positive feedback and like chewing a bit at the mountain, you start gaining confidence and knowing what you can work on, knowing that you can slowly get better. But starting from the very bottom of the mountain, like if you haven't climbed your local mountain and you think Mount Everest, it's just too like, it's like not, it's not in the same universe. Before Mount Everest, there's Mount Kilimanjaro. Before Mount Kilimanjaro, there's a local mountain. Before a local mountain, there's maybe a local hike. If you haven't even gotten up from the couch in like 20 years, maybe go for a hike. Maybe just walk around the lake. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, just start where you are. Start where you are. Do a little bit a day. And do what works for you too. Like if you see from me, like people are always like trying to like force their own program on you. Like chess is 99% tactics. You must start with tactics. Okay, maybe I started with tactics, I would have gotten better faster. I mean, probably. But like for me, like chess in the beginning was just about having fun or like coping or like mentally, like, just like feeling like I was loyal to chess because chess was always there for me. Like literally having that feeling like chess has my back. I want to play chess. So I was just playing games. If that works for you, play games. Then starting to study and like liking these games that I saw, like then study the games. Just do what works for you. But yeah, don't get discouraged. And because you see those tilts, like every time you go down, like literally, for me in the beginning, it was like every time you go up 50 points, you like go down by 200. I always felt like that. I was like, and if you learn how to manage that better, you can probably like slowly and steadily, instead of tilting 200 points, you can know when to stop. So I think knowing like when to press the brakes is also important. Like same with climbing a mountain. Like if you strain yourself, if you pull a muscle, it's probably good to not keep pushing it. You should probably take a break. If you lose 3 games, more than 3 games in a row, you should probably stop. Like, today is just not the day, honey. It's not the night. It's not the night to pull an all-nighter trying to make it back. It's just not gonna happen. It ain't happening. Just accept the reality. um, that's my advice. Don't tilt. Don't plan on tilting is probably the best way not to, like. But I don't know. That's also something you learn. So take a little bit a day, and don't force yourself. Okay, I think that's just my personal journey. That's my journey thus far. That's some of my 2 cents. Very long 2 cents, more like $2,000. Anyway, if you want to know more, wow. If you have more questions, I'm doing a part 2 Q&A. There's more questions people ask me, but that'll be a separate video. So if you have more questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. And I wish you the very best in your own personal chess adventure, whether it's just like staying where you are, having fun, or getting better, or doing your own journey. That's all cool. So yeah, thank you for supporting me. I have to say that this series, this has been my new support. I like doing something for yourself every day like this is so amazing. I love having streaks. That's why, like, before I was learning languages on Duolingo, like, I loved having that streak. I love having my Chessable streak, and I love doing this series where I'm doing something every day. Because to be honest, I'm not someone who actually like has a very routine life. Like, I'm not like, I'm kind of like, I kind of do a lot of stuff. But because of that, because of all the instability, it's really, really nice having something stable to go to. And if you're the person who watches me every morning over coffee, oh my God, that message warmed my heart. I was like melting. I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. Like, that's so nice to hear that someone watches me every morning with coffee. Like, if you want to start your day watching me and like, and I'm there for you and I bring you some joy and happiness or like whatever, entertainment, or just, I don't know, just my presence, that means so much to me that I can do that for you and that we're here together. Because even though I'm technically just speaking in my room, I feel the sense of community. I see these people coming back and commenting on my videos. I recognize you guys, and I feel a sense of like love and support and community, and it's really amazing to have that. It's really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, good night. Best of luck to you, and I wish you the very, very best. And that's why I'm doing this series, because I said I don't want to play chess to have an addiction. I don't want to play chess just to feel my personal ego satisfaction, even though it is personal, like, challenge and like, you know, growth and all that. I was like, I also want to be able to bring joy to people if I can. I'm so fucking emotional. Bye.